Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that you're doing really well in this moment in time and that you are taking everything in stride, that you are able to accept whatever kind of weather conditions you're having. Right now I'm looking at a very dark, doomsday-like sky. It's not that bad, but we are getting rain today. It's a very dark gray with blue energy and gold. I'm actually seeing gold and little teeny tiny bits of pink on an energy level, but just with my physical eyes, it's just gray and darker gray and golden gray. It's like many different shades of gray, but maybe not 50. But I hope that you're able to just accept what's happening in the world and send your love out to everybody. And I mean everybody. I don't mean just everyone in your family only or your friends. Just everybody. I send my love out to the planet and our space brothers and space sisters who are helping so much, just sending their love to us. So I hope that you're able to accept the love from other people, especially when people are sending out healing energy, in general to the planet, that if you need it, take it. Hook yourself up to the healing grid that I helped create with maybe 1,000 other people I've never met. Just one day I woke up in Peru. I was living in Lima, and my higher guidance said, well, today you're going to imagine a pink grid beneath your feet. And I believe it was a 5th dimensional grid. I wasn't told one way or the other, just that it's a grid, and it wasn't obviously physical 3D. So, at the time I assumed fifth dimensional. Oh, that's weird. My screen just went black for a minute. I'm like, whoa, am I still recording? Hey, is this thing on? Anyway, so my higher guidance just said, okay, today is the day you're gonna make a grid around the planet that is a healing grid, because before I was sending Reiki out through my hands, like I was taught by all Reiki people are taught, especially when you become a Reiki master. When you're beginning in Reiki, you put your hands on the person, and the Reiki flows from your hands through their body with contact. And then when you hit the 2nd level of Reiki, you could send it across the room to somebody. And when you hit the 3rd level of Reiki, like Reiki Master, then you're now able to send it across the world, anywhere, practically instantly. So I was taught to do it through my hands, right? And I would line up my chakras and try to do my best, clearing my aura, clearing my chakras, all that good stuff, and send the energy out of my hands. Well, after a while, God said, instead of doing that, send it down through your feet into the earth. So I did that for months. I was just like, and I had told God, you know what, I don't want to just send Reiki to someone when they ask me. I want to put Reiki out into the world, and pretty much whoever needs it, I want them to have it. So we were taught my husband and I went to a Reiki teacher over in Northern California for a while. And, a while ago, a long time ago, we spent like a whole day with her. And it was very interesting. I think her name was Linda. It's like weird, it's like with all the new waves of energy coming in, my memory gets wiped about some things and then it comes back. But when the magnetic grid is just freaking out, it's not always 100% here. And then it comes back and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's how it really was. That, and then plus when you're, I don't want to get into the other thing. I don't want them to censor me again. But anyway, some of the other crazy memories I have that have been resurfacing. But basically, I kept my Reiki on. What we were taught, though, originally was that you turn your Reiki on, you do the session with the person, then you turn your Reiki off because you don't want to burn your body up, right? So that was our first thing, that we learned. So then we'd have to rinse our hands out with water and afterwards with cold water for 10 minutes to make sure we don't have anyone else's energy coming back on us, right? And so that was the beginning part of our training. And then I started, doing it. I was doing Reiki all the time, like, Reiki on the cat, Reiki on the dog, Reiki on the kids, Reiki on people. When I hugged them, I would turn on the Reiki and give them energy. Every time I hug someone, I give them that Reiki energy. And it got to a point where I just said, you know what, screw it. I want to have Reiki on all the time, 100%, never stop. And so unless I'm sick, then I will definitely stop it for a day or two till I get better, then I'll restart it again. So I was doing the Reiki constantly. And I think for a while I had it coming out of my crown chakra, like straight up, and then just falling onto the ground. And then for a while, God said, put it through your feet. And I did that for a while. And I think I did that one first. It was actually just coming through my feet into the earth. And then whoever on earth needed it would go to them automatically. And then God said, now's the time to start this. It's like an electric pink. Almost like an ultraviolet pink, like ultra pink, I guess. And it's glowing and it's so bright and just cute. It's a cute energy, cute color. And so God said, I want you to create it for your part of it. And I felt, I put my energy into it, and I closed my eyes, and I imagined this ultraviolet hot pink, healing, but pure, vibrant, almost like a lightsaber, almost like a kind of light, right? Kind of like almost like a fluorescent pink, but in a really positive way, not like a fluorescent lights are just yuck. I don't mean that energy. It's just this beautiful pink grid, and I created it. I started at my feet, and I imagined it going in front of me, behind me, to the left of me, to the right of me, everywhere. And then I just imagined it, and as I started to imagine it more and more, all of a sudden, I saw it around the whole planet, but I don't think I personally made the one around the whole planet. What I feel happened is thousands of people around the world got the same message at the same time, and we all worked on this together silently. We're not getting paid for this. It's free, obviously. And, my part linked up with all the other person's parts, and it all congealed together. And now we have this 5th dimensional healing grid. So anytime anyone says a prayer for healing, or says, I want to be healed, or they say anything about fixing something or healing something, they tap into that automatically. The energy comes into their body wherever they need it, sometimes up through the centers of their feet. Sometimes the energy will flow from the grid up their body and then enter into whatever chakra where they need the healing. Sometimes they'll flow up to your head and come down, cascading like a waterfall over you. Sometimes the energy will come up and go directly into your heart chakra, and then it's distributed evenly among your body, half of the energy going up and half the energy going down. And sometimes it's just holding you, surrounding you like a blanket. When you ask for comfort and love, I think that it can come from this healing grid. And I helped to build it. It's not my idea. It didn't come from me. It was just God told me to do it. And I said, okay, cool. I've been working for God since 2007. 13 years this year. It'll be 13 years in April. So anytime you need anything, I want you to accept the healing that's there. I think other people are doing the same thing as me. My energy, my Reiki is 100% constantly flowing into the grid. So anyone on earth who asks for healing, they're getting Reiki energy directly from me and thousands of other people who have been putting into the grid all the time. And I feel like there's a lot of people not saying a word about this, but except for Lisa Transcendence Brown a couple months ago said, maybe about 6 months ago, said, yeah, when I created the healing grid around the earth with others, with thousands of other light workers. And I'm like, yeah, finally one other person actually mentioned this. There's like thousands of people that they don't have YouTube channels. They don't have shows. They don't have podcasts. They don't talk about it. They don't broadcast it. They probably didn't even tell their spouses or their friends or their sister or their best buddy. They didn't tell their kids. They don't talk about it. See, in the beginning, I was told never to talk about this, and then God said, you have to start talking about this. So that's why I'm having the podcast. Also, because I don't have anyone else to talk to about this stuff, usually. My sons sometimes will listen to a certain extent, and then they're like, okay, that's it, it's enough, I need to get back to the real world in my own mind, right? This is too much. My oldest gets mad. He's like, I know all this stuff, Mom, already, and I believe you, and I know it's real, but the thing is, I came here to have an experience as if this world was real. So I need to get back to my perceived notions that this is a real reality. I know about the other reality, but I want to live in this world. This is where I chose to be. So anyway, so I just hope that whenever and wherever you are in the world, that you are able to accept all the good energy coming your way that's there for your benefit. Accept if you're having harsh storms, too much weather, too much rain, it's going to get harder. It's going to get harder before it gets better, right? Just accept the energy is there to ultimately be for your benefit, even if it doesn't seem like it right now. If you're in Canada and you have 15-foot snow drifts and they're blocking your door, take a lot of deep breaths, ask for patience, ask for your anxiety to be relieved. I mean, I know I'd be panicking, but just pray and ask for the healing grid to help you through this time. And it might be a time for you to go within. You're stuck within the house, and maybe it's time for you to go within. And if you are in Australia or anywhere with fires and you have to leave, accept the energy of leaving stuff behind. That you have to let go of some things, maybe. And you also will notice during disaster times, whether it's a fire, a flood, an earthquake, or even a riot, or anything that's going on, when other people around you are going through the same exact thing, it raises your consciousness because it raises your compassion and your love for one another. You see somebody having a bad day, and you're having the same bad day, but maybe their experience is a little bit worse. And you feel love for them, and you might feel like going up and having a conversation or hugging them, or you just smile at them, or you hand them a piece of gum. Little teeny tiny acts of kindness like that, and it connects you with that person, and then they can feel better and they accept the love, and you accept the love when someone is kind to you. All of these things going on around the planet right now are absolutely for your benefit and for the benefit of mankind. And if you are an awakened one, if you're listening to the show, chances are you're awake. You might be brand new awake. You might have been awake for 20 years, but you're awake. Sleeping people don't seek my show out, unless they're just starting to wake up and they're like, oh no, that's crazy. I just talked to somebody in Guayaquil, Ecuador, and I was trying to explain what I did. He didn't know what the word podcast meant. He's like, I don't know what you mean. I'm like, it's like a radio program. It's in English, but these are the things I speak about. And I told him, and he's like, you just made me so scared right now, And all I told him was that I talk about spiritual things, extraterrestrials and the like, and I read tarot cards and sometimes speak to the dead. That's all I told him. And he's like, oh, I'm so scared right now. And this stuff sounds really crazy. It sounds scary if you don't know that it's real, that it exists, that people in the world, thousands of people around the world do the same things I do. I'm not unique in that way. but if you've never heard of it, it's like, oh my God, And then when you say, hey, I'm a Heyoka lightning shaman, and they just go, well, how did you learn how to do that? And it's like, it's been a series of experiences and years and gaining knowledge in a wide variety of places and working directly for God for 13 years. That's how I got to where I am. And it all kind of snuck up on me. It's just like one day it dawned on me, you are a Heyoka lightning shaman. And I'm like, holy crap, I had no idea that's what I was. I just thought every day I'm doing something. Every day I'm being told, it's time to work for God. It's time. It's time to do this. It's time to do that. All right. It's time to go home because there's a cat waiting for your healing. Okay, I get there. The cat's waiting at the door. Come on in, sister. And she comes and lays in my bed and sleeps all night with me. When she started coming to visit me, that little cat in Lima, and she that was about the time I created the healing grid, actually, about that time, and I hooked her up to the healing grid, but she had like big, huge tumors in the front of her chest. And my kids noticed it first, and I'm like, oh my God, that's why she wants us. And I don't even know who, like other people, I'd say, hey, is this your cat? And they go, no, I thought it was your cat. It's like, no. I don't even know where she came from. Beautiful Siamese cat with big blue eyes. And she'd hang out in the house, in the apartment building, like around nighttime usually. And there was a black cat I know for a fact was from Lyra, because I looked at that cat and I said, what planet are you from? Because I know you're not from here. I said that out loud in English, and the cat just stared at me like so scared and got so stiff and wouldn't, and even, how normally a cat's tail's swishing a little bit, even the tail was stiff. He just looked at me like, how does she know? How the hell does she know? Oh my God, our cover's been blown. I mean, just the look on this cat's face, he was so scared. Like, what do we do? What do we do? How do we neutralize the situation? Oh my God. I'm like, I'm not going to tell anybody. And even if I did, no one's going to believe me anyway. And then he just kind of like loosened up his muscles a little bit. And he was just like, he had this like whew, look on his face. And he took off running. And then they used to play with this other cat that was like a redheaded cat, and that cat was like always dirty and dusty, and he looked just like a normal cat, and I think that was part of the cover for the Lyran cat. And that was way before I knew that cats sometimes can be from Lyra, and sometimes it's Lyrans disguised as actual house cats. I didn't realize they did that. In fact, I don't think I've ever mentioned on the show that they do that, but I've been made aware that they can and do quite often do that. It's crazy. Even Corey Good, though, he said that there were cat-like beings that are being hunted by another, they're being hunted by another race that are bad, and that's who blew up their homeworld, and they've been running all over the universe since. So I could understand why they don't want me to physically see them when they show up and when I channel the Lyrans. I understand that completely, and I would protect them, obviously. I have no idea where they come from, where they go. I mean, they protect themselves, but, I see that. I could see that maybe he was telling the truth about that. It's kind of strange, but then again, my entire show is strange. It's funny when I have to explain to someone who's asleep about what I do, and they're like, what the hell? They're like, how did you learn that? And like they can only register a couple things, and they go, so you're psychic, how did you learn to read tarot cards? I mean, that's what they glom onto. They can't even understand when I say I'm a channeler. I channel ETs, I channel God, I channel, I work for God, I channel ascended masters, and sometimes I speak with the dead, and people can't handle, they're like, it's just too crazy, it's too much. And you guys all listening, for you guys, this is normal, right? This is stuff that you've heard about before, you heard about from other people, not just me. It's around, there's books, there's all kinds of information on this. So I know how hard it is when you're trying to show who you are, and you decide, screw it, I'm going to actually come out of this spiritual broom closet, and I'm going to be like, so, do you remember any of your past lives? Start off something super mild. Do you believe in reincarnation? Some people freak out and trip out on just the idea of reincarnation still. And I know in the United States, I think there was a poll taken a number of years ago, and I did this last year's show on, are you the spiritual freak of your family or something, or the spiritual black sheep of your family, something like that. I can't remember the name of the show now. It's been over about a year, but I think it was 80% of the people do believe in reincarnation now, or 75%, of the United States. They just totally believe it. They accept it, that it's possible or definite, but they know that it's not just a made-up thing. And I remember in the 1980s, it was like, you're out of your freaking mind. That's not true. That doesn't happen. That's not real. Only people in India believe they're coming back as a cow or something, but that's just their weird, their whacked out spiritual crazy belief. That can't be real, right? I mean, that's kind of the reaction that everyone has or had back in the 80s. No one really remembered. I remembered in the 70s, my past lives, some of my past lives, well, one specifically, and I had inklings that there was others, but then when my parents kind of just said, no, you're just having a bad dream, it's not real, and they tried to convince me, and I knew the truth, but I just kind of put it on hold and put on a back burner to fit in with my family. I didn't want to be rejected, so I just didn't talk about it anymore. And I don't know, if you have kids, encourage them as much as you can. Encourage them to tell you about their past lives. Write it down, because it might be important for them later. If you remember a past life, it has relevant meaning to you in this time and place, and you're going to take lessons from that life, and it's going to be relevant to lessons you learn in this life. So it's always important to know what's going on. I was killed by snakes in Egypt in a past life, and I've mentioned this lifetime a few times. And then when I had problems with my thyroid a number of years ago, when my kids were little, I just randomly got an advertisement for this health book, and I got the book and I was reading it, and it said there's a homeopathic remedy called Lechisus mutus. And this Lechisus mutus is like very, very, very watered down venom from the Bushmaster snake here in Ecuador. And I mean, this is years ago. I've only been in Ecuador a little bit over 2 years now, and I decided, okay, Lechisus mutus, all right, let's see if that's real. That doesn't sound real at all. So I went to the health food store, and lo and behold, here they have on the shelf Lechisus mutus. And I was told that, my thyroid was dying and my organs were shutting down and I had about 2 years left to live. That's what I was told. I thought they were all full of crap. And I went to a doctor and he put me on the right path, the right diet, the right herbs and stuff. But when I got this book in the mail, it said Lechisis mutus. I'm like, all right, awesome. So I went to the health food store, and the Bushmaster snake venom watered down to like really, really watered down, obviously, because that's one of the most poisonous snakes on the planet. Definitely, I think it's the most poisonous snake in South America. Here where I live, those snakes exist. But I've also read up on them, and they're very sweet, very gentle, docile. They will never hurt you unless you really, really like mistreat them, mishandle them. Then they'll bite you, then you'll die like within a matter of minutes. But it takes forever. Like they're, if you see one, you could just sit there and watch it, and it'll just crawl away slowly. In fact, my sons actually encountered one of these snakes, and my son almost stepped on it, and he's like, oh my god, and he just stood there and he waited for it to pass, and everything was fine. And he's like, holy crap, I think that was a Bushmaster snake. But it was just very sweet. They're very docile, they're very shy, they will get away from you as much as they can, it's just as fast as they can. And that was it. It was just it scared the crap out of me when he told me that story. But anyway, I got this stuff from the store, and I started taking the homeopathic remedy. It's like 6 teeny tiny pills. They look like little white pellets. They look like, like powdered sugar or something. And you put them under your tongue, let them dissolve, and you take it a couple times a day. Well, I started having dreams about the snake that the venom came from. And he showed me that he had been in Ecuador, and they scooped him up. And next thing he knows, he's in a laboratory. And I had the feeling, and he said he felt it was very far away from his home. And I had the feeling it was somewhere in the United States, but I'm not sure. And he said, well, they put me in this cage, and there were other snakes in other cages, and they drained me of my venom. And he showed me all the things that they did, like, making the medicine, or at least they took it from him, and then they were wearing gloves and white coats, and he was very confused about the whole thing. And when I told him what happened, he was like, oh, thank God, at least I'm helping. And then I had another dream, and he said that he had put it together that in a past life he was the one that killed me, but in this life he was the one that saved me. That was his karma. Very simple karma for a snake. It was pretty cut and dry. In past life, I killed you. Oops, sorry, I was kind of mad. I thought you were the one that threw me on the ground after putting me in the bags. I didn't know. I was just so scared, and I bit you and I killed you. And he said, I know there were other snakes with me, but I was the one that delivered the blow that ultimately killed you. So it was up to me to be taken from my home and flown very far away, and they used my venom to actually heal you. And he saved my life. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's a weird story. But the Lechisis mutus, and it's a real thing if you have a thyroid issue. So I accepted that. I accepted that kind of a healing treatment for myself. And that's the kind of thing that happens, when you start on that spiritual path and you say, okay, whatever happens, universe, I will accept whatever comes my way. And you start getting these weird things, these weird connections. And if you're open to it, you start to learn things that just blows your mind. 2,000 years ago, the snake killed me. It took 2,000 years for that karma to be rectified. Totally. I mean, he was a different species of snake back then. He was in a different continent. He was in Egypt. It's like crazy. And now, and then yet there's the further connection of, an Ecuadorian snake saved my life, and now I live in Ecuador. It's kind of strange. It's like, everything comes full circle somehow. So just keep accepting, whether it's weather, whether it's a physical ailment in your body, keep asking it, why are you here? Why are you here? You know? You might have a temporary disorder in your body that will lead you to your soulmate or your twin flame or your best friend that you haven't seen in 200 years. Or it might lead you to a couple different connections that will lead you to such a great spiritual revelation that there's no way in your mind could you have fathomed that all these inner workings of the universe, all these gears are turning and all these connections are being made and all these things are conspiring in your favor for your highest good 100% of the time. So whenever and wherever you are on planet Earth today, in this moment, just accept all the circumstances in your life. Change the ones you can. Accept the ones you can't. But understand that it's all for your benefit. So, all right, we're going to talk about some of our normal things. Now, I went to Sarah O'Brien's YouTube channel today, and that's found at Why So Serious, Sirius, like the dog star Sirius. Why So Serious 24D. And she was woken up in the middle of the night. She said at 3:19 a.m. Central Time, U.S., there was like one after another, boom, boom. And she's calling them solar flares. But that's not true. There was no solar flares. There's been absolutely no sunspots. And then 50 minutes later, 50 on the nose at 4:09 a.m., another boom, boom. And she's calling them solar flares. But she said we were hit by these 4 energy waves. And she says, I don't know if NASA's even going to mention them or not. I don't know if even at all will we have any mention anywhere. It might be 2, 3, 4 days from now. But they were not solar flares because there were no sunspots, and solar flares come out of sunspots. And so I asked my higher guidance, and my higher guidance said they were actually pulsar waves coming from the center of the universe. And they were pulsar waves that came, and they were imbued with the love and light and energy of God. And according to Sarah O'Brien, what she saw with her quantum sight and her vision was golden light, and it was gold, and it was like 2 powerful golden light waves to heal all bad timelines, all false light information, all negativity, all bad memories, all bad stuff. And then 50 minutes later, it was like boom, boom, 2 more. And the first one of those was glittery, like glittery energy. And then the second one was so much glitter, like gold glitter. And she even put gold glitter makeup on her eyes because she's like, I had to do it because it was just like what I'm seeing with my quantum vision. And she feels like if she moves her hand, the gold energy just flows almost like fairy dust, or like the way she described it. And we're surrounded by that right now. So that's a lovely energy that you can pull into yourself, and it will heal you. Right now it's available. But the only way she could describe it was like a solar flare, right? It's not solar winds. We haven't had anything. In fact, I'm looking on spaceweather.com, and they say solar activity is very low with no sunspots or solar flares for 12 consecutive days. It's a sign that the solar minimum is still underway. And if you want to go see auroras, you have to go to the Arctic Circle because that's where the lights have temporarily retreated. There's not even auroras in Alaska. You have to go way, way up into the Arctic Circle. And quiet conditions are expected to persist for at least the next week. So I thought that was very interesting. So there was that. And then what's the other thing? Let's see if there's anything. Our solar wind speed on the sun is 351.8 kilometers per second. It's picking up from yesterday a little bit. There hasn't been any other updates too much. The ULU neutron counts, basically cosmic rays coming in, it's at a high level right now. So still, there's that. And they haven't updated the Fireball network information, so, well, there's that. So I think she was right that the energy came in. I woke up, I went to the Andromeda's home planet after I went to bed last night. They take me astrally, and I guess I create a body when I'm there. They help me with that. And then I lived there for 3 years. And I woke up after 4 hours, and they said they'll deposit me back here. Only 4 hours will only have passed here in an hour time. So I woke up 4 hours after I fell asleep, and I was a little bit disoriented for a few minutes. Like, everything felt so weird and unfamiliar. Like when you go on a vacation, you come back home and you have a different perspective, and you're just like, whoa, I used to live here a week ago, you know? It's just like a weird energy. And I had that weird energy for a while, and then I went back to sleep for another 4 hours. Or no, 3 hours, something like that. I got a lot of sleep, actually. I got about 10 or 12 hours of sleep. But I did toss and turn. Ascension symptoms, at least I think they're mine, or maybe they're for all of us. I'll mention it. I've been having bowel issues and digestive system issues. I asked my higher guidance, and he said pretty much anything to do with your digestion of any point of digestion. We are all having that worked on right now energetically, so that we can move to the next level, basically, the fifth dimension. So all of us are going to have intestinal issues. My near twin flame told me last week he was having intestinal issues 4 or 5 days ago. So everyone has it on their own time. It's just different days. And it lasted this time for me about less than 24 hours. So if this starts happening, you're like, oh my God, what the hell is happening to my bowels, or what's happening in my stomach? Like, whoa, it will last only just like 1 day. So we're going to talk about tonight, the show's going to be about magnesium and why it's important, what it does, and I'm going to look at all the different kinds and forms of magnesium. So I've got a lot of research yet to do. So I'm recording this right now at 5:19 p.m., but it's going to be a couple more hours before I get it out, because I've got to get all the research done. So all the behind the scenes things, and then we will get back to it. And then when I put it out, there will be in a few hours. But I'm expecting to get this out before 6 p.m. California time. And right now it's like 2 o'clock California time. And thank you, God. I'm so grateful for my new for my new tablet. I'm sure it made my voice change yet again. All the different microphones and all the different electronic equipment has a tendency to change the timbre of my voice. Some things make my voice really deep. Sometimes makes my voice more higher pitched. I'm an alto. If you're interested in knowing what pitch does my voice normally fall, you know, I tend to be an alto. You know, so lower pitched female voice, I guess. I don't know. I just looked up in the clouds a moment ago, and there was a female symbol, the symbol of Venus, the circle and the cross below it. It has disappeared now, but in case that means anything to you, you know who you are. I know that was a message for one of you out there. There's another, like a person jumping and clicking his heels like a stick figure. I say him, I don't know, it could be a female stick figure, but now that's starting to disappear. So for the cloud reading today, we now have a beautiful gray blue, kind of a cadet blue sky. And on top of that, very wispy pale white clouds. And a lot of the dark gray has cleared up as I've been speaking. And now it's just very blue, pale blue. Do you guys remember those sand things? They were toys, and they were oval shaped, and they came with a stand you could put up in your window, and then you shake it, and it looks like the ocean, or it can look like mountains, and it's white and blue sand, different colors of blue, different colors of white, I think. It was a toy. It was my favorite toy when I was a kid. I could imagine so many different worlds, you know, just what is this, the ocean now? Is this the sky now? Anyway, that's what my sky looks like right now, is that toy. I don't know what it was called. If you guys remember it's called, shoot me over an email or text me on Facebook Messenger, because I can't remember what that's called. Isabel, do you know? I've been hearing from Isabel lately, and she gave me a shout out on her podcast. So I wanted to thank you for that. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm going to go over there soon, now that I've got a way I could play podcasts again. I'm slowly but surely getting everything together. Thank you, God, for that. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I've been very tired, by the way, you guys. Like, very sleepy, waves of sleepiness. I think that's some of the energy coming in. That's another, symptom lately, is just kind of feeling my throat's hurting. You can kind of tell. It's been that way for days, and then also just like falling asleep. Tinnitus sometimes not so bad as it was before. It's like so much in the background, I hardly notice it anymore. Wow, lots of blue in the sky, but it's blue clouds, not the sky itself. I can't even see the sky. I'm just seeing the cloud cover, and it's like a cadet blue. It's incredibly beautiful. All right, let's get going with this. Okay. According to disclosurenews.it at 10:30 in the morning, if you had the opportunity to follow the evolution of the variations during the hours before this update, you will certainly have noticed the preparation for what is becoming the coincidence 17. I love that they named it that. Even today, from 1 UTC, small variations in constant slight increase. Power 15 after 8 hours of buzz at 9 UTC, barely touching power 17 at 17 chart local time, 10 UTC. The activity seems continuing. Then in the 1700 evening report, they love the number 17, don't they? I do too. The activity continued, slightly intensifying without interruption. The maximum value has been power 22 at 15 UTC. Today the activity was not strong, but there was no calm. So that's good to know. There's always like a constant. So 22 is a big news for there, but there's a lot of white pillars. I don't know why they don't count that. Oh, maybe this is out over several days on the big chart I'm looking at. So, oh yeah, I see. Yeah, it's not much, but it's just a bunch of static, lots of static, a lot of green background energy and turquoise background energy as well. And a lot of red. I don't know if the red interference, but that could be in conjunction with Sarah O'Brien's assessment of the energy coming in. All right, someone would have to do the math on that, but I bet those two bits of peaks, I bet that has something to do with what she was seeing. I trust her quantum vision for sure. God says a pulsar. Remember before higher guidance said, no, you guys don't really have the ability to measure the pulsar waves that come. And I think they might be interdimensional, and that might be why. So our scientists don't really know that's even happening. They don't have instruments that say, that register that energy. I wish I could show you the sky. Maybe I'll try to take a picture of it with my new tablet and put it on Instagram. That'd be cool if it actually picked up the colors more than my phone. We'll see. All right. California at midnight had 38 hertz frequency on the Schumann resonance scale, and by 5 a.m. they went down to 33. Nice master number. Number is 22 in the other in Italy, so 2 master numbers today. Now Hofuf, Saudi Arabia, was at 0 all the way across, and they've been there for weeks. Someone might want to go check on Hofuf, see if the town's still there. What's happening? Why is it 0? Lithuania, 85 hertz frequency on the Schumann resonance scale at midnight. By 5 a.m., they went down to 80. And here comes the curious phenomenons, 2 in a row. Alberta, Canada, start off at 16 hertz frequency at midnight and was 0 by 5 a.m. Northland, New Zealand was 14 at midnight and was 0 by 5 a.m. So that means three cities, 3 places on Earth were zeroed out on the Schumann resonance scale, literally registering nothing, no energy at all by 5 a.m. Now, in Hulului, South Africa, they've come down considerably. They're at 142 hertz frequency on the Schumann resonance scale at midnight. And by 5 a.m., they were at 133. Another master number there, that 33. So by the end, at 5 a.m., we only had 3 registering numbers and 3 zeros. We had 33, 80, and 133, and then 3 zeros. So crazy, crazy stuff. All right. I don't really know what it means. I'm just reporting the numbers as they are. All right. In A Course in Miracles, Foundation for Inner Peace, we are on lesson 218. You may find this website at acim.org, or just go get an app and you can take the lessons for free on your own time. I don't read all of the lessons through unless it is a review, and today still we are in review. So lesson 218 is, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. That's been the theme for the whole week. And the thought for the day is taken from lesson 198. Only my condemnation injures me. Only my condemnation injures me. My condemnation keeps my vision dark, and through my sightless eyes I cannot see the vision of my glory. Yet today I can behold this glory and be glad. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. So that does go along with what I was saying the other day, doesn't it? Like my friend who was always judging me for certain things, and then those certain things in almost the same way happened to her. Every time she would harshly judge me and be on the phone gossiping about me to all of her other friends who didn't even know me, and then they would gossip about me and they would say all the bad things and they would condemn me and judge me. And then for her messing with me in that way. And I had no idea what was going on until after the fact, when it happened back to her in almost the exact same manner. That she was like, I don't know, you're some kind of a witch or something. I'm like, I literally did not know you were doing that. And I did not know that was happening to you. So I didn't do any of it. But when you condemn another, when you judge another, it comes back to you. Only my condemnation injures me. It only injures me. It doesn't injure, and I don't know why was she trying to injure me? I don't know. She was just judging me, but she didn't realize she was injuring me, and the injury came back on her. That was her lesson. That was a huge life lesson for her. And we're still friends. I still love her. I still see, faults and flaws in her, but she had massive cancer she went through for years, like 3 years she fought this, but she got through it and she's better now. But I know it's because of her judgmental attitudes towards, people in her life, not just me, but other people. I see it, And there's a toxicity there that got into her body because only my condemnation injures me, right? So I see it in my life. I've seen it with other people. My mom was very judgmental of people as well. Okay, I see the most adorable face in the sky right now, guys. I can't even begin to describe it. It's like maybe a little Lyran baby with cat ears, but a baby face, like a human baby face. And it's just one of the cutest things I've ever seen in my life. And now it's fading. And there's no way in hell I would have had time to take a picture of it. But, oh my God, that was really crazy looking. Oh God, I wish you guys could see what I see. I feel like I'm taking acid every day and I'm not. I haven't dropped acid in over a year. But I think once you've hallucinated one too many times, you now start to see the things that were there all along. I think that's part of it. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, some of the stuff I've seen. It's like, what? I'm glad I could do divination in the clouds now. I mean, I'm seeing things that I never saw before. And when I point it out to other people, they go, oh my God, I never would have noticed that. You know, the letter J, which one comes up all the time for me. I think that's I have two near flames I've met, and they both begin with the J. So I'm sure that my real twin, also his name begins with a J. But I heard from my near twin, the first one I met, I heard from him last night, and we were having a kind of a heartfelt conversation, which I'm not going to divulge, but at the end he says, I love you. And it felt so good to hear that from him. While we were together, he was afraid to say it. He just was so worried about what it might mean. And I said, look, you can love me and not be in love with me. Two things can be true, right? You know, and I do love you and I will always love you. And he was like, okay. And that gave him the permission to finally be like, okay, I do love you. But only as friends. And then he always had to qualify it, you know. And now he just doesn't qualify it anymore. And it feels good. I feel the growth in him as I feel the growth in me. And as I grow, you guys grow. And as you guys grow, I grow. Because we are all one. We all just got hit by this golden energy. Because we're in the golden era. The golden light, the golden time, and the golden age of humanity. And as I said that just now, a golden bird just flew by, a golden and dark brown bird. I've never seen that species here ever. That was cool. I mean, just now I saw a sparrow. Earlier I saw the flock of parrots. They've been extremely active the past few weeks. The green, they're like a lime green. And underneath their armpits, they've got red and a little bit titch of blue. And here's another one. So cute. Just a random bird. Most of the birds here are just like normal birds, like everywhere else. Like brown, you know, various shades of tan, brown, black, white, whatever. And then every now and again we get a gorgeous random bird that's just so shocking to me. I just saw a golden bird when I said golden era. All right. Thank you, God. And it wasn't only for my benefit, because it would have happened when I'm not filming the show, right? It was for your benefit too. So there you go. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, we're going to talk about magnesium. Why do you need it? How did we get deficient in it? And what forms of magnesium is the best? And what do you expect when you start taking it? Because you might want to stick it home for a day or two. Let that be a fair warning. We're going to talk about all kinds of things regarding and relating to magnesium, because it is a very important mineral in our diets that we're not getting. So we're going to talk about that after this quick break. I'll be right back after this message. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you. And it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated. And now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. All right, guys, we're going to get into all the things you need to know about magnesium today. Now, my first article I'm going to take some information from is medicalnewstoday.com. And they don't take into account in this article the fact that our topsoil has been depleted for at least 2 generations by now. And that a lot of our medical issues and problems and even petty annoyance things that we just take for granted, we think, oh, well, sure, I have that, but everyone has that. And maybe it's because I'm getting older, maybe it's just stress related or whatever the excuse is. We don't really take into account that our food, even the organic food, all of the food, it's not grown in soil that has all of the minerals intact. And even if it did, a lot of the pesticide sprayed foods, they don't uptake the minerals that they need to have enough minerals in the food. It's not nutrient dense food usually. It's been a problem for a long time, and you could see it in all the generations. When you look in the 1940s at the movies and 50s and 60s, how skinny the people were in the movies. And watch the movies today, people are always struggling with their weight. But when you look at the average American, even in the 40s and 50s, you see old pictures, they're always so skinny. They're always in good shape or better shape. And now people are grossly overweight in the United States and even in Egypt. Egypt is the biggest, they have the biggest, big people, the biggest amount of big people, overweight people. I've had macaroni bechamel, so if you're Egyptian, oh my God, it's so good, and you know it too. In fact, I met an Egyptian the other day online, and he was really skinny, and I knew he had some kind of a problem, and he's like, oh, I have diabetes, I hardly eat. And I'm like, oh, okay. It makes sense because Egyptian food is very fatty. But I even feel that if you looked at old pictures of people in Egypt, even in around the world, the people were in better shape. And now through bad farming practices, and the farmers, you can't even blame the farmers because it's what their father did and their father before them. But they keep adding more and more pesticides, and it depletes the soil. And they don't really mulch. If you have your own garden, if you do your own mulching, you're going to put more minerals back into the soil. If you have a hydroponic system, such as towers, where you're growing your food vertically with a hydroponic system, and you measure out the minerals perfectly, you're going to have very good nutrient-dense vegetables. But it's extremely rare to find anything in the States that has even close to what you need in your daily diet. You're going to have to eat a ton of food with magnesium in it to get your daily dose of magnesium. It's one of the sad facts of living in the modern world, basically. So we're going to go over this, and hopefully by the end of the day you'll figure out, or the end of the night, you're going to figure out which type of magnesium supplement you want to try, what you need, and you'll be able to figure it out. And we're going to make sure you don't overdose on magnesium as well. Okay, so According to Medical News Today, this article, let me look at the top here. I forgot to look at the title of this. It's just called Magnesium Deficiency. Wow. Super boring title there, Jack. Anyway, okay, like I said yesterday, scientists are not always known for their creativity. Some of them are, such as Einstein, but usually not. Okay. Basically, magnesium deficiency is known as hypomagnesemia. So whatever, just say low magnesium is easier, right? Okay. It can result from excess consumption of alcohol, a side effect of certain medications, and some health conditions, including gastrointestinal disorder and diabetes. So I think that part of those things are ass backwards. I feel like you don't get a magnesium deficiency because you have gastrointestinal disorders. I feel like maybe you have gastrointestinal disorders because you don't have enough magnesium. I think that you have diabetes because you don't have enough magnesium. So I think that maybe this statement is a little bit ass backwards. It's just a gut instinct. Get it? Gut. If you do take certain magnesium supplements too much, you will have diarrhea, so that will cause gastrointestinal disorders. But I feel like once you get used to once you introduce magnesium back into your daily diet and your daily consumption of it, you will actually have less and less problems with that. So, okay, let's see. Deficiency of magnesium is more common the older that you get. So the symptoms of a magnesium deficiency include a loss of appetite, nausea or vomiting, fatigue or weakness. Well, wow, I'm looking at this going, well, most of my life I did not have a very good appetite, and I've always had asthma, and we're gonna go into asthma in a little bit. So I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna up my intake to magnesium levels that are extremely healthy, and we're gonna see what happens with my asthma. But we're gonna get into that in a minute. Okay, so symptoms of more advanced magnesium deficiency include muscle cramps, numbness, tingling, seizures, personality changes, and a heart rhythm change, or even spasms in your heart. Now, research has linked magnesium deficiency with a range of health conditions that include Alzheimer's disease, type 2 diabetes. That's not juvenile diabetes mellitus, which is the one that you get when you're born with it, basically. Type 2 is when you are a teenager to adult when you get diabetes. My dad got diabetes when he was in his, I'd say like late 30s, early 40s. He got diabetes, and he was like, God, why am I so tired all the time? He was at muscle cramping all the time. He was having moodiness, and then he went on a diet, lost a lot of weight, and he started really caring about what he ate. And I wish if I would have known then what I know now, I would have been like, Dad, also take a magnesium supplement. I think he would have, it would have gone a lot better, his life. But once he lost weight, his diabetes went away, thank God. But he was like, yeah, I reversed it, but through, so you can reverse it if you get type 2. Now, cardiovascular disease is also linked to an extreme magnesium deficiency, as well as migraine headaches. Now, can you have too much magnesium on the other side of it? Oh, of course you can. But if you have too much magnesium, usually you'll know it right away because you'll have gastrointestinal problems such as diarrhea, nausea, or cramping. So it's not funny if you have too much magnesium, you have nausea. If you don't have enough, you might have nausea. So if your only symptom is nausea, hell, it can mean you're pregnant. Unless you're a man, obviously. But so if that's your only symptom, don't go thinking it's because of magnesium or anything else. Look at all your other symptoms, obviously. Basically, an overdose of magnesium is unlikely because the body will eliminate excess magnesium that comes from your food through your urine. But I do say be very, very careful if you start taking it in supplements. Don't take too much. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit, how much would be right for you. So very large doses can cause kidney problems, low blood pressure, urine retention, nausea and vomiting, depression, lethargy, and a loss of central nervous system control, cardiac arrest, and possibly death. If you have a kidney disorder, do not take a magnesium supplement unless your doctor says maybe you should try that. So be very, very careful. Now, as far as drug interactions, magnesium supplementation might cause an interaction with medicine you're taking. So what affects magnesium levels are Fosamax, which treats osteoporosis, anything that's an oral biphosphonate, tetracycline antibiotics, including doxycycline, called vibramycin, and diclomycin or demeclocycline. I've never been able to say that word. Quinolone antibiotics, including levofloxacin or Levaquin, and ciprofloxacin, also known as just Cipro. Lasix, diuretics such as furosemide. I take this one. I do take furosemide, not often, a couple times a month now. I used to have to take it every 4 hours, so I have, thank you God, been able to take less and less. But it does, diuretics will deplete your minerals. It will deplete your potassium, will cause muscle cramping, and then you have to take a potassium supplement, which can affect your sodium levels. You take too much potassium, you have to eat more salty food. You'll start craving that. But if you eat too much salty food, then you'll gain more water weight. It's a whole thing. But magnesium regulates the levels of potassium and sodium in your body. So instead of trying to do the balance, balancing the plates, the guy with the plates spinning on the pieces of wood. I feel like that's just kind of has been my life with this whole mineral thing. And once I found out that magnesium can regulate the other two, it's like, oh, well, I'll just take magnesium. It's so easy. It's not always easy to find though in South America, let me tell you. I finally found some yesterday, and I had been looking for over a year for a decent magnesium supplement. I found a health food store over about a year and a half ago, and I started going there to buy it, and I would buy a bag of powder that only said magnesium on it, but I didn't know which kind of magnesium it was. But I would still take it, and I would just, every day I would take a little bit, and then I ran out, and I couldn't find it again. And you go to the pharmacy and you ask for magnesium, and they kind of wrinkle their forehead and their nose, and they look at you like you're out of your freaking mind. What do you mean, magnesium? What are you talking about? Magnesio. ¿Qué es esto? Like, it's like what you need to live, But when you go to Peru, any pharmacy in Peru, you ask for magnesium, they go, oh, not a problem, and they'll hand you a packet of magnesium powder, and sometimes it's with vitamin C in it, and it's pleasant tasting, and you just mix it with water or juice, and bada boom, bada bing, you're totally fine. And it's always the amount that you need for the day. I don't know why Peru is so health conscious, but I do like that about Peru. One thing I miss. Now, Ecuador is health conscious in a different way, People will just encourage you to eat a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables. There's fruit juice available at every meal, usually without sugar. So it's kind of like a fruit smoothie. They put the fruit in the water in the blender, and that's it. So it's not too terrible. It's like the food isn't terribly unhealthy here. You see a mix of people that are overweight and thin. A lot more people are thinner. The older people are more overweight, probably because they're missing the magnesium. I think that's what causes it. I've just got that feeling. Anyway, one more thing here. Nexium, or prescription proton pump inhibitors that include like esomeprazole, magnesium, that actually counteracts your magnesium intake, or it might deplete your body. So let's see. The summary here is magnesium is an essential macronutrient that plays a key role in many body processes, including muscle, nerve, bone health, and mood. Research has linked magnesium deficiencies with a range of health complications. So basically, I think you should just try it, but if you want to talk to your doctor, go ahead. I found out that magnesium is the most abundant mineral on Earth. So it is everywhere, which is good to know. I don't know why. Like I've only went to a couple places here, and they just looked at me like I was out of my mind. Why on earth would I want a magnesium supplement? It's like you work in a pharmacy. You sell vitamins. That's where you get the vitamins here in South America. You don't, like in the US, you go to any store to buy vitamins, right? Some are high quality, some are just normal. Like Centrum isn't very high quality, but it's good in a pinch. And you could get, but vitamins are everywhere. And here you don't get them from the store. You could get vitamin C from the store, and that's it. It's so weird. Sometimes some stores they'll sell like 4 different things. Usually it's like an iron. And the only magnesium you can get at the store is milk of magnesium, like milk of magnesia. Which in a pinch, if you are desperate and you can't find it anywhere else, just go get the milk of magnesia. It's kind of yucky. It's weird. It's white. It's chalky. It's like drinking chalk mixed with water. It's really weird. But if you're desperate, I mean, that's what I've been doing for months until I finally found another health food store that opened. The other one shut down. So I was just stuck for like a year, and I finally found it. I'm so grateful. I know exactly where it is too. I memorized exactly what street it's on. But anyway, let's see here. There are, let's see, we're going to go over 7 signs and symptoms of magnesium deficiency in a different article, by the way, before we get into the types. Because it might not, the first one I looked at, I don't know if it's the same. So it says less than 2% of Americans have been estimated to experience magnesium deficiency. In one study, it says 75% are not meeting recommended intake. So even if you don't have an official scientifically pinpointed deficiency, you might also not be meeting your recommended daily allotment, the amount that you need to be fully healthy. Now, it says here on healthline.com that deficiency might be underdiagnosed because the obvious signs commonly won't appear until your levels become severely low. And so that makes it a little bit scary. It says that inadequate dietary intake to loss of magnesium from the body will cause a magnesium deficiency. Loss of magnesium, that is what happens when you say you exercise tons and tons and you drink tons and tons of water. That can deplete your electrolytes. It can deplete your magnesium. And also, again, some of the medicines we just went over can also cause problems with magnesium. With magnesium in your body, can lower the levels. So health problems that are associated with magnesium loss, it says here, diabetes, poor absorption. See, that's a big one, poor absorption. And with that, you have to do other things. If you feel like you have poor absorption, go to Dr. Berg on YouTube. He's got a lot of suggestions and ways to be able to absorb your minerals and your vitamins better in your intestines. He is an expert on all of these things, especially if you have diabetes, or if you have that thing where your insulin isn't being absorbed somehow. I forgot. Metabolic overload, that's one thing. Metabolic insufficiencies, if you're severely overweight or even starting to get there. If you're even a little bit overweight and you can't lose that extra 5 or 10 pounds, it might be due to something that he can help you with, because usually it's something very easy. It's an easy fix. It takes a couple weeks, and then bada boom, bada bing, you're on your way to weight loss. You're on your way to being sufficient in vitamins and minerals, because now you're absorbing everything again. So Dr. Berg on YouTube will help. Chronic diarrhea also is associated with magnesium loss. And it's ironic, if you're constipated, you take magnesium to stop the constipation. So it's anything to do with that. Usually magnesium is involved somehow. Celiac disease and hungry bone syndrome. I've never heard of that. I don't want to touch that one at the 10-foot pole. So many jokes. Hungry bone syndrome. I guess if you have it, you would have heard of it. I just feel like sometimes people are making stuff up now. Anyway, if you are an alcoholic or you just had a bender, that also can result in the loss of magnesium. So the 7 symptoms of magnesium deficiency include muscle twitches and cramps, like twitches, tremors, muscle issues. In the worst case scenario, you might start having convulsions and seizures. Don't let it get that far. Just take a magnesium pill, you'll be fine. Scientists believe symptoms are caused by a greater flow of calcium into nerve cells, which overexcites or hyperstimulates the muscle nerves. And so I wanted to bring something else up. If you're taking a calcium supplement, I would venture a guess to say that maybe you have too much calcium in your body, which can create a problem with magnesium. I would say maybe stop that, unless your doctor specifically says you have osteoporosis and you have to take that. A lot of people think that they need calcium, and that can lead to heart attack if you have too much calcium. You have to be very, very careful with that. Maybe take it every other day or something. But involuntary muscle twitches can have other causes, like too much stress or too much caffeine, obviously. But that's not really a twitch as much as it's just a constant shaking, right? Let's see. Now, there might be a side effect of some medications or a symptom of a neurological disease, such as neuromyotonia or motor neuron disease, that causes that. So it might not be a magnesium deficiency, might be something else. So, right? Mental disorders is a consequence of magnesium deficiency. So if you start feeling a lack of emotion and you haven't recently done a lot of cocaine, which the day after you just feel like, yeah. I mean, if you haven't been doing a lot of drinking or a lot of partying, you're just like a normal person living a normal life, trying to eat as healthy as possible, and then you just suddenly you just kind of feel blah, like lacking in emotion, and you're a little bit like mentally numb, and you feel kind of apathetic towards your life. That's a sign. That's the first sign. That's the first in a series of many mental disorder signs. That's the first one. If you kind of feel like, I don't care about my life anymore, and you don't have any enthusiasm for life, that could be a magnesium deficiency. No, the worst possible, the other end of the spectrum, the worst possible things emotionally, you could start being delirious. You could feel delirium. And right after delirium comes a coma. So you definitely want to get some magnesium in your system stat. You can have an increased risk of depression if your magnesium levels are low. And also anxiety has been speculated to be linked to a deficiency in magnesium. So throughout this article, they'll give all these things saying this, and this, and they go, but more studies are needed. So I'm going to skip over that part because always more studies are needed and everything, maybe. I don't know. But osteoporosis is a disorder characterized by weakened bones and an increased risk of bone fractures. Let's see. Obviously, if you don't exercise and you're old, that's part of it. But you could get it when you're younger. When you have a lack of vitamin D, like you never ever see the sun, and you don't drink milk that has added vitamin D, or you don't take a supplement, vitamin K, which also can lead to bipolar disorder, lack of vitamin K. But when you don't have vitamin D and vitamin K, it can lead to osteoporosis. But a risk factor for osteoporosis is being deficient in magnesium. And I think you need magnesium to efficiently absorb calcium. So in your blood levels of calcium will go down if you have a deficiency in magnesium. So it's kind of like, you kind of need both. You need all of the minerals, not just one thing. Don't take calcium and forget everything else, right? That can lead to heart attack. It's not good. And also you might not even absorb the calcium. Like I think there's calcium carbonate is the most common one. We'll do a thing on calcium at some point, but you need calcium in the calcium ion channels of your brain. You need the calcium to think clearly. You need the magnesium, but you're not going to absorb calcium without magnesium, and you're not going to absorb either unless you have vitamin C. That's a whole nother thing. So, let's see. In rats, they found out they have reduced bone mass when they are magnesium depleted. So, that might be something, right? Now, fatigue and muscle weakness, when you have physical or mental exhaustion, that's number 4 on the list as far as deficiencies. Everyone becomes fatigued once in a while, obviously, okay? But when it's persistent or daily or becomes worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, you need more magnesium. Now, the magnesium does regulate potassium and sodium, and a lot of times, if you're low on potassium, you'll start to feel suddenly depressed and suddenly can't get out of bed because you physically can barely lift your limbs. You won't be able to open a bottle of water because you're too weak, maybe. I've had weird days where I just was super low out of nowhere in potassium, and it's ridiculous. And you start getting the Charlie horse cramps, and I've gotten those a lot. And I would say, yeah, eat your banana. Maybe eat a potato. It's okay. Go get some French fries, Maybe make a baked potato at home is better. But, but also, instead of just taking potassium supplement, take the magnesium. That will regulate levels of everything. So then if you do eat foods with potassium and sodium, it will help regulate everything, right? So, let's see what else here. Yeah, muscle weakness, and it just says right here, weakness is caused by lost potassium in muscle cells. See, I just said that. That's so cool. Well, good, I'm on the right track. And it is associated with magnesium deficiency. If you don't have magnesium there as the maestro regulating, all the things, pulling the strings like a puppet master of the potassium and sodium, then your potassium levels can be depleted too, and nothing is working, right? You need one thing for the other thing to work. So it's all connected. High blood pressure. Now check this out. This is crazy. If you have high blood pressure, you might just need magnesium. High blood pressure is a strong risk factor for heart disease. And having low magnesium in your diet can help raise your blood pressure. So that's not good, right? So check that out. Have it checked out. Asthma. Here we go. People with severe asthma, and mine has been severe lately, especially the past few weeks. You probably heard the little bit of wheezes when I'm breathing while I'm doing the show. And this is usually after I've taken my inhaler a couple times. Magnesium levels are lower in people with asthma than in people, well, they say that in healthy people, but I'm sorry. If your magnesium levels go low, you're not going to suddenly be an asthmatic. It's a genetic flaw that is in your genes, but there are things that you can do to regulate it. And I believe now that I'm like magnesium, maybe mine will be better. But when you have a lack of magnesium, according to some researchers, it causes a buildup of calcium in the muscles lining the airways of the lungs. It will cause the airways to constrict, and it makes breathing very difficult. So they did start a magnesium sulfate inhaler sometimes to help relax and expand the airways. Well, I'm going to look this up. This sounds interesting. When people have life-threatening symptoms, injections are the preferred route of delivery. So if you are severely asthmatic, nothing's helping, go get a magnesium shot from your doctor. That might be the thing that you needed, right? See if that works, and then switch to supplements after you've gotten the shot. It says, of course, more studies need to be done, blah, blah, blah. They always say this in this article. It's like a broken record. So they're not really sure how the role in the development of asthma is, how it works with a magnesium deficiency, but they think it is definitely linked. So I think it is too, especially if your sodium levels or your potassium levels are off. And I get water weight in my lungs, and I know that when all my water regulation is perfect and my magnesium levels are good, I do breathe better, and I do have less water in my organs. So I don't know, it's just something I've noticed. So irregular heartbeat is the last one. It's the most serious symptom of magnesium deficiency. Heart arrhythmia or irregular heartbeat. Usually it's mild, but it can cause heart palpitations, which is like when you get like a bit of a stop or a pretty long pause between heartbeats. When it starts to be a pregnant pause between heartbeats, you get a little scared, like, oh crap, my heart's not working right. And what happens when you have an irregular heartbeat, you might have shortness of breath and lightheadedness, chest pain, or even fainting. It can also lead to or increase the risk of stroke and heart failure. So you have to be really careful with arrhythmia. They believe that it's an imbalance of potassium levels, and outside the heart muscles might be to blame, which is magnesium deficiency. Because if there's no magnesium, the leader of the orchestra to lead the potassium and the sodium in the dance of life, it's not going to work, right? When you have congestive heart failure and arrhythmia, chances are you have low magnesium levels, lower than healthy people. And if you get treated with magnesium, it has significantly been shown to improve heart function, especially when treated with magnesium injections. So if you have arrhythmia, you're probably going to have less arrhythmia if you have more magnesium. So we're going to go over now also on healthline.com. Let's see here. I'm looking over here. The magnesium supplements that are available. This is really strange, okay? I did not know there were so many. I thought there'd be 3 or 4. A lot more than that. Okay, the number one, and the one I just bought, is magnesium citrate. Magnesium citrate is bound with citric acid. And that's what you find in citrus fruits. Lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruit, the like. And it gives them this sour flavor. And artificially produced citric acid is a preservative and flavor enhancer in the food industry. So it's like in everything. It can throw off the balance of your vitamin C because you need a complete vitamin C, not just citric acid. So, the kind that we all love to chew, which is super bad for our teeth, but they're like orange flavored, and we all love those might not be complete. So make sure you gain a full spectrum vitamin C, including bioflavonoids. And if you eat a lot of citrus, or you want to go grab a bag of oranges this weekend, bioflavonoids are found in the white part on the inside of the rind, the part that you tend to peel off and throw away. You peel off the outer layer, then you peel off the inner layer. Eat the inner layer. I'm telling you, even if you're eating grapefruit, eat that. It has bioflavonoids in it. It's very good for you. Eat it first, and then your dessert will be the sweet orange inside, because it does tend to be a little bit more bitter. In oranges, it's sweeter than in grapefruit, so just in general. Let's see. Yeah, so basically, and where was I going to be? There is a natural laxative effect when you take higher doses of magnesium citrate. You have to be very careful with it. That's why I said earlier, when you start on a magnesium supplement, you might want to stay at home for the day or two. So do it on your first day, or if you have 2 days off work, start it the night you get home from work, and don't go anywhere for the weekend, because you got to make sure your body starts to get used to having healthy levels of magnesium. So it's the most popular type of magnesium supplement because it's very easily absorbed by your body because, well, the vitamin C helps to absorb the magnesium. It's mainly used to raise your magnesium levels and also treat constipation, so be careful about the laxative thing. Now, magnesium oxide, it's basically magnesium mixed with oxygen, and it's white and it's powdery, and that's what you get in that chalky milk of magnesia, which is a constipation relief, i.e. laxative again. So you got to be careful about that. But it can be poorly absorbed by the digestive tract. So remember I said it's like a last case scenario thing. You can use it to treat heartburn, indigestion, and constipation. If you use it for constipation, you might start feeling, a little bit yucky in your tummy an hour after you take it, because your indigestion, if you had it, might get worse. I still recommend taking the apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon to a glass of water. Just chug that on down. 5 to 10 minutes later, you will not have any indigestion anymore. No acid reflux, nothing. But what they use magnesium oxide for a lot is to treat the migraines. There are people outside yelling. There's a family, I think they're from Venezuela, begging for money. I've been praying for them for about an hour before I started this part of the show. And now they're out there yelling with people. I hope they're okay. So if you hear any loud swears in Spanish, that's what's going on outside the door. Magnesium chloride is magnesium salt. It includes chlorine, which is an unstable element that will bind well with other elements, including sodium. I just included 2 words together. That's what happened. Including sodium and magnesium to form salts. So it's usually absorbed orally easily, and it's used to treat heartburn, constipation, low magnesium levels. So if you really want to try magnesium chloride, it can work. It might be all right. Magnesium lactate is lactic acid bound with magnesium. And it's effective as a dietary supplement, and it's gentler on your digestive system than other forms of magnesium. It might be more suitable for those who don't tolerate the other forms, or if they need to take especially large doses. And let's see, this one, they do use it to treat stress and anxiety. I still recommend citrate, but it probably has less digestive, it says that, fewer digestive side effects than the other kinds. So if you're very sensitive to it, magnesium lactate might be the way to go, especially if you're taking it for stress. Magnesium malate is mixed with malic acid. Most people are missing malic acid in their diet. It's very weird. And that is naturally occurring in fruit and also in wine. So yay, if you're a wino, you're not low in it. The acid has a sour taste, and it's a food additive, and it adds acidity and enhances flavor of foods a lot of the time. It's a great option to replenish your magnesium levels because it is gentler on your system and does not have as much of a laxative effect than other types. So that is good. It's recommended for chronic conditions such as fibromyalgia. it's least in chronic fatigue syndrome. There's not a lot of scientific evidence. Obviously, it needs more. Magnesium taurate is when you take the amino acid taurine and combine it with magnesium. That's what you get. It is good for healthy blood pressure, they believe, as well as bolstering your heart health. But I think, honestly, it also manages high blood sugar, by the way. So that might be the one for you, magnesium taurate. I think the citrate is good unless you have problems with the digestion after you take it. And I would say give it a week before you switch over to something else. Magnesium L-threonate is a salt that's formed by mixing magnesium and threonic acid, which is a water-soluble substance derived from the metabolic breakdown of vitamin C. So that's weird, right? I never heard of that. This is a very easily absorbed form of magnesium, and it might be the most effective type to increase the concentrations of magnesium in your brain cells. So if you are really worried about your brain, magnesium L-threonate oftentimes will be used for potential brain benefits, and it will help manage certain brain disorders such as depression and age-related memory loss. Of course, more research is needed. Magnesium sulfate. Okay, this one, you guys, I had a problem with. It's Epsom salts. I could lay in a bath full of Epsom salts, and it relieves my muscle tension. It's actually good for your skin. It has magnesium, sulfur, and oxygen in it. Okay, very good for your muscles. Not good at all to be injected in my veins. I had an issue with the sulfate. They gave me injectable magnesium sulfate. Literally put Epsom salts liquid in my veins once. I felt my arm was on fire, and it looked like there was red veins up and down my arms as my veins became inflamed and like on fire. I literally ripped the needle out of my arm. I said, "This is hurting, this is burning." And the nurse says, "No, it's not, because that doesn't happen." I said, "Yes, it is, because it's happening right now." And we had an argument, and I told her to F off, and I ripped the needle out of my arm, sending blood everywhere. It was a scene. And I was like, when I said I'm allergic to it, I'm freaking allergic to it. Look at my arm. And she goes, "Well, that shouldn't happen." I go, "It shouldn't, but it did. So maybe this is something I'm allergic to." And she's like, "I don't know. I have to ask the doctor." I'm like, "Look at my arm. My veins were swollen and red." It was so freaky. It was like this, like a horror movie. I'm like, "What are you doing to me?" I will never allow a doctor to come near me with Epsom salts liquid ever again. Not to administer intravenously. People do have a problem with it sometimes because of the sulfur, and when it's mixed with I think it's 3 oxygens, that's what makes it sulfate, the ATE. Sulfite I think is less, but anyway, and then there's sulfoxylate. That's a whole nother thing. All right, so anyway, this one is obviously white. It's just like table salt. You've all seen Epsom salts. I don't have to describe it. But this is for sore, achy muscles to relieve stress, using it for the outside. And it is absorbed well through your skin. So if you can't find a decent magnesium supplement near you, it's not the best way to get it, but it will help a little. And it will help your muscles, first of all. So, and it dissolves easily in water, so it does help. It is good, but I would venture to say it's probably better for the other one. So, one of the other ones, magnesium glycinate, or glycinate, is formed from the elemental, of course, magnesium, and the amino acid glycine. So, you need glycine to construct your protein. It's an amino acid. That's what they do. It is found in protein-rich foods, fish, meat, dairy, and legumes, like beans and lentils. But it's basically a standalone dietary supplement that they use to improve sleep and treats inflammatory conditions such as heart disease and diabetes. Now, it's easily absorbed, has calming properties. It can also reduce anxiety, depression, stress, and insomnia. So it's kind of like the magnesium citrate, but it's the same. In fact, citrate treats a lot more, so I would just say go with that one. But again, if it gives you the diarrhea issue, you have to try something different. Now, the 10th one is magnesium orotate. Never heard of orotate. It includes orotic acid, not erotic, ooh la la, but O-R-O-T-I-C, orotic, I guess, acid, which is a natural substance, supposedly, in your body's construction of genetic material, including DNA. Well, I had not known that. I've never heard that. It's not easily absorbed and does not have strong laxative effects, but again, not easily absorbed, so why bother, I'm thinking. But competitive athletes and fitness enthusiasts will use it to help their heart be healthy. And it does have a unique role in energy production pathways to your heart and blood vessel tissue, so that's why. So, a study in 79 people with severe congestive heart failure found that magnesium orotate supplements were more effective for symptom management and survival than a placebo. Well, obviously, because it's actually magnesium, right? So, I mean, it's like, well, your heart improved. Maybe it was just a placebo effect. No. It's not always a placebo thing. Anyway, if you are deficient in magnesium and you want to try through food first before you go out and get a supplement, this is what they recommend, according to healthline.com, and I'm sure they're right, that magnesium is present in black beans and edamame, which is how they make soy. I don't recommend it. It's just so not good for you. It's poison. They have to do so much to it to make it not be poison. It's just not worth it. So, but black beans, okay. Vegetables have magnesium, such as spinach, kale, and avocado. I think kale has more. And with avocado, I mean, you could scoop out ripe avocados, mix it with chocolate, vanilla extract, and a little bit of honey, freeze it, and now you've got chocolate ice cream. And it's chocolate, dark chocolate especially, also contains magnesium. So, I mean, guacamole or avocado chocolate ice cream, that might be the good ones. All right. And by the way, it's also vegan. So, all right, nuts, almonds, peanuts, and cashews contain magnesium. Whole grains are whole wheat and oatmeal. I would say oatmeal's a lot healthier for you. And that also, in fact, the more natural the oat is, I mean, you know, the ones that are done in 30 seconds, probably not so good. The ones with flavors that you do in the microwave, not as healthy as if you eat the whole rolled oats that take like an hour to make sometimes. You know, the ones from Scotland, the really good ones, probably have more magnesium. And dark chocolate, baby. I live in a magical land in which chocolate grows. And so obviously chocolate is a big part of my diet. All right. And I have it without sugar a lot. I just put the mashed powder that I get from the store. It's like $3 for a huge bag of it because I live here where it grows, and I just do it with coconut oil and honey or stevia sometimes if I don't have honey, and sugar if I don't have the other two. I'm not such a stickler, but I do the brown sugar, like straight from the sugar cane type of sugar. Still sometimes has like bits of the plant in it. It's crazy. But that's always a nice way to end the night. I like that. Hot chocolate is very good for you if you do it right. Now, the average daily recommended amount of magnesium is 320 as I say, magnesiums. Mg is magnesium on the periodic table, but mg, what is that? What the hell? Megagrams? What the hell? Mg? What? See, I'm not thinking about it because I need to take my magnesium right now. Milligrams. I'm like, it's not megagrams. What the hell? I didn't grow up with a metric system, damn it. Okay, like everyone in the whole wide world did, except for 2 countries, and one of them is U.S. Anyway, the recommended daily amount of magnesium for women is 320 milligrams 420 for men, 420 milligrams for men. 420, super easy to remember if you're a smoker, right? If you're a toker, anyway. 420. So you got to make sure you're getting the right dose because every supplement formulation is different. Like, for example, the one I just picked up says citrato de magnesio. So it's magnesium citrate. And on the back it says each capsule contains 100 milligrams. And then they say that's 100% of your day. No, it's not. But then they say beneath that it's equivalent of 833.33 milligrams of citrate of magnesium. But it's like really confusing. It's like, I don't know why they're saying that. But if it's 100 milligrams of magnesium, and you're just going to count the magnesium in it, I guess that means that 700% is citric acid. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But just be careful what you start slow because you don't know about the laxative effects. That's the thing you have to be. If you get an upset stomach or nausea or diarrhea, you got to be careful, right? Now, there's very rare thing I need to tell you about. Magnesium toxicity can occur if you have kidney disease or you consume a lot of magnesium. The signs of toxicity include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, muscle weakness, irregular breathing, lethargy, when you're extremely tired out of nowhere, urinary retention, you can't pee, and you got too much water weight. All right, so be very, very careful. So if you start to get these, take a day or two off and then go back to a lower dose of magnesium, okay? Just be very, very careful with it because obviously it's important. Now, on this other article though, just so you know, if you are obviously a baby and you're under the age of 6 months, you probably don't need this as a supplement. But if you want to give your baby that, no more than 30 milligrams. And I would say every other day, even though it says every day. And maybe just try to do it through food, okay? If you're 7 to 12 months old, 75 milligrams. 1 to 3, 80 milligrams. 4 to 8 years old, 130 milligrams. 9 to 13, so this is like if you have kids. Obviously, there's no kids listening to this probably, but if you're 9 to 13 years old, 240 milligrams. And if you are 14 to 18 years old, that's when it starts to change. So when you're a teenager and you are born male, 410 milligrams is what you need per day. But if you're female, born female, 360 milligrams. Now, if you're pregnant as a female, you need 400 milligrams. If you are lactating, if you are actually breastfeeding your baby, you need 360 milligrams. So it's the same whether you're breastfeeding or not. So why'd they even bother mentioning that? Weird, right? But if you're pregnant, you need a little bit more for your baby to grow healthy. Now, if you're 19 to 30 years old and you're born male, you need 400 milligrams. If you're born female, you need 310 milligrams. And if you're pregnant, 350 milligrams. So you need less if you're older and pregnant. If you're 31 to 50 years old, you'll need 420 milligrams if you're born a male, 420, remember that, and 320, just 100 less, if you're a female. I think that might be because of body weight, to be honest. If you're pregnant, you need 360 milligrams if you're between the ages of 31 and 50. And 320 if you're lactating, it says. So the same, exactly the same as if you're not pregnant, obviously. So if you're over the age of 51, and oh my God, so happy to be in that category, I am not. Same thing, 420 and 320, same thing. So I don't know why they said 31 to 50 and then singled out us over 51, but whatever. Literally my exact age is at the very highest level and it says 51. It's like, jerks. Anyway, thank you God I don't look my age, but still a little sensitive about it. They say on this other Healthline article that the magnesium content in 3.5 ounces of these best food sources, or 100 grams, you can find in 3.5 ounces of almonds, will give you 270 milligrams of magnesium. 3.5 ounces of pumpkin seeds will give you 262 milligrams. 3.5 ounces of dark chocolate is 176 milligrams, so you might as well get 2 or 3 candy bars a day. And peanuts have 168 milligrams in 3.5 ounces of peanuts. And last but not least, and I love this one, 3.5 ounces of popcorn, which is a huge bowl, right? Because popcorn weighs nothing. It's like a feather. 3.5 ounces of popcorn is 151 milligrams of magnesium. So, I mean, if you have your popcorn, you got your hot chocolate and a candy bar, you might be good to go. That might have enough magnesium in it. It's worth a shot. So, let's see. Other great sources of magnesium include sunflower seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, chia seeds, I had to say that, cocoa, coffee. Yeah, baby, coffee has magnesium. Woo! You know me and my coffee. Cashew nuts, hazelnuts, and oats. And it's added to breakfast cereals and other processed foods, but we're not going to go there. Well, there you go. It's a widespread health problem to have magnesium deficiency. So please try to get enough magnesium in your diet. Even if you take it every other day as a supplement, just to make sure your levels aren't too low. All right, that's pretty much what it is. Okay, so it is what it is. It's extremely important to you. All right. I mean, the deficiency, if you've got muscle cramps, fatigue, mental problems where you just can't think clearly, or you're starting to get a little depressed, or you have apathy, irregular heartbeat, osteoporosis starting, just start taking the magnesium-rich foods, nuts, seeds, grains, beans, and get on a supplement ASAP to see if that doesn't make you feel better, right? It's even if it improves you like 2%, 2% is better than no percent, right? Anyway, that is my special, super duper special on magnesium. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Metaphysical Soul Speak. You may write me at metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com if you have any ideas for upcoming episodes or anything at all. If you have your own podcast and you want to collaborate and have me on your show and I can have you on my show, we can do that. I already have a list of people. I have like 4 or 5, maybe 6 people now. Possibly 7, actually. I've been contacted by a lot of people who want to do that. So I think that's pretty darned cool, and I definitely want to do that. So, well, there you have it. Another episode. And I'll be back tomorrow with all original and unique programming. We're going to talk about earth changes. And we will have now more time because I've got the tablet. Yay. So I can record a little bit longer so we can spend a little bit more time looking at what's actually going on around the world. Yay. So, we'll come back tomorrow for Friday, and then I take the weekend off because this season we're taking the weekends off. I just had to. But that's it. That's all she wrote. And by she, I mean me. That's all we wrote for today. So I'm signing off now, guys, with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.